Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for having us here today. I think both of us are eager McMaster students that are really willing to participate and answer any questions that individuals may have, or that this may help different individuals within their personal journey. So my name is Nicole Rakowski. I am a PhD candidate at the DeGroote School of Business, specializing in health management, and I'm going into my fifth year now.
All right, so my name is Julia. I'm currently a third year student in the Integrated Business and Humanities program here at DeGroote School of Business.
Amazing, Julia. And maybe I'll start by asking you some questions. I know we're going to jump back and forth a little bit. So I'm going to start just by asking you, who has been sort of your biggest motivation in life, or who has been, your biggest key mentor or influence in your career thus far?
So I'd say my biggest influence in my career so far is my professor, Professor Malik. He doesn't just push me, he's taught me that waiting for that perfect moment means missing out entirely. So he challenges me to take action before I feel 100% ready to recognize that growth happens in the process and not just at the finish line. And I'll ask that question back to you. Who do you found has been like a key mentor so far?
That's a great question. I mean, there's certain individuals that I definitely look up to, and I guess I'll preface this conversation a little bit too, in terms of, my journey has been, you know, I wear different hats within the journey. So one is my academic lens, and I have my full-time position within the hospital, but my true and real passion in life is for fitness and athletics, and I've sort of used it in various areas of my life, whether it's merging it with my PhD, sort of fitness outlook and career trajectory. So a lot of it stems from individuals in the fitness world. And my husband is another major influence in my life. So he is someone that I'm not sure if I would use the word mentor, but just someone who really inspires me on a daily basis. But in terms of, mentors per se, I would say individuals that are really grounded in the fitness world. For myself, I've always looked up to really big influences like Jay Cutler and Victor Martinez, who have been significant influences in my career, and just admiring them and their work ethic. And really, it's the discipline in every single day. And their a dedication to fitness and their achievements have continually inspired me to really strive for excellence in my own journey. And I've applied that to all areas of my life, not just fitness themselves, but really to every other aspect of my career.
Nice. I'm also like a big fitness person as well.
Yeah.
So it's nice that we share that same interest. And you've kind of talked about how you kind of have like all these different interests, to have different career paths as well. So I just want to know, could you share a little bit about your journey and how you got to where you are today?
Absolutely. And it's a great question. So my journey, I guess I'll sort of talk about, within the fitness industry, because with this YWCA award that we're both nominated for, it's my personal category is business and innovation. Within that, it's an actual fitness app. And some other different fitness sort of, challenges that I've helped individuals overcome that's sort of created this nomination. But so my fitness a journey in the fitness industry has been both challenging and rewarding. So the biggest spike, I would say, is it all began with a life-changing accident that I had in Iceland in 2017, where I sustained severe burns. And this traumatic experience really forced me to reevaluate my approach to health and wellness. And it was during this recovery that I realized the importance of physical fitness and mental resilience, which became the foundation of my passion for the fitness industry. So I was always involved in sports my entire life, but this sort of accident coupled with subsequent eye issues and having various concussions sort of prevented me from competing in competitive sports again. So that's when I turned to competitive bodybuilding as sort of my outlet. So, and I was determined to turn my experience into something positive. So, I was a co-founder of FitCentive, but really it's Zach Magerman who's the massive brainchild behind this. But I've sort of helped him as being an industry expert to sort of work towards this platform that's designed to transform users' fitness journeys and empower, trainers to be able to host videos on the app. And the goal was really to create this community where people could find the support and resources they needed to achieve, their own fitness goals. And, the journey of really contributing to FitCentive was filled with challenges from, having to secure funding to developing different aspects of the platform. But my dedication and support of my team really helped us in overcoming a lot of these. But, throughout my entire journey, I've been inspired by the stories of others who have faced adversity and emerged stronger. Their resilience has really motivated me to keep pushing forward even when things get tough, right? So it's those experiences that have taught myself the value of perseverance, the importance of a strong support network, and the power of a positive mindset. And I think today I really continue to be driven by my passion for fitness and my desire to help others lead healthier, more fulfilling lives. And I think my journey is really a testament to the fact that with determination and the right mindset that we can overcome any challenge and achieve our goals.
Yeah, what a beautiful and an inspiring story. I think the amount of resilience you have, like I just like hearing that story, I think it was so great to hear.
Well, thank you so much. And I'd be curious to know, looking back, what has been your proudest achievement so far with, I know you've accomplished so much at such a young age and you're so driven yourself. So what would you say has been your proudest achievement so far?
Yeah. So I say like a lot of my passion lies within EDI, and I understand how important it is to see yourself represented and also giving back to the community. So I'd say my proudest achievement so far is that recently I hosted an event in collaboration with another student club here at McMaster called Her Campus. And we packaged 100 boxes of essential feminine hygiene
Oh,
products
wow.
and hidden notes, and we'll be donating them to like the Interval House and Native Women's Shelter as well. So it was a
Incredible.
campaign to raise awareness for homelessness, and especially I think when a lot of these campaigns, there's a lot about like non-perishable food items, which again, they're amazing, but what often gets overlooked was the feminine hygiene products that women need at these shelters. So I think that was one of my proudest achievements was seeing how everyone was coming together to give back to the community.
Absolutely. That sounds like such a rewarding sort of experience, but also really shows that support network right within the community
Right.
atmosphere. So that's amazing.
Yeah, and I just want to go back to kind of your business. So, being a woman in leadership, what advice do you have for others aspiring in similar roles?
That's a great question. So I think the biggest thing for me is that I would tell my younger self to really, embrace failure as a stepping stone to success, that every setback is really an opportunity to learn and grow. I think that's one of the biggest things that I would tell myself. And it's important to stay resilient and keep pushing forward no matter what the different challenge may be. It's when I was younger, I often saw setbacks as roadblocks, right? And I'd often, criticize myself and I'd be very hard on myself in terms of I'm not good enough, I can't do this. But I've learned that they're actually the opportunities for growth and learning. And you don't really realize it at the time when you're going through something as such a calamity, but over time, each failure has really taught me the valuable lessons and has been a stepping stone to where I am today. I think I would also tell my younger self to be patient and trust the process, and that things don't necessarily go as according to plan as you may think might be, right? Success doesn't happen overnight, and it's important to stay committed to your goals even when progress seems really slow. And it's the consistency and the perseverance is really key to achieving long-term success. You may be told 1,000 times that you may not be able to do something, but it's what can you do to prove them wrong, right? It's when I was coming out of the hospital, they weren't sure if I'd be able to walk again, right? It's, well, I'm going to do everything that I can to walk, right? So you can fall 7 times, but you want to stand up 8. That's what I always tell individuals that are sort of looking at, how can I, move forward in that motivational mindset, but not lose track of sort of the end goal.
Mhm. That's a really great mindset to have. I think it's so difficult to like not view failures as like kind of those roadblocks, but I think I love the quote of like fall down 7 times and get up the eighth time. I think that's something I'm trying to learn in myself, and like reframing failure as a learning opportunity is so powerful. And honestly, when I change that thinking, I think I take everything almost as a lesson now.
Yeah, for sure. And there's so much more to learn, right?
Right.
And so sort of stemming off of that, what's one major challenge that you feel that you faced in your career and how have you personally overcome it?
Yeah, so I say probably one of the major challenges, and I feel like I still experience it now, is that I've struggled with like imposter syndrome, worrying
Mm,
that like, oh, am I qualified enough? Am I good enough? And a lot of that just stems like in my head. And basically how I've am starting to overcome this is I have like very strong mentors in my life who are there to remind me that I'm so much more capable, who I'm able to turn to for guidance and support. So I'd say having people in your network who are there to remind you that you are capable is so important and probably the best way to help overcome that imposter syndrome.
Absolutely. And I think it's, one of the biggest things I think that you mentioned is just self-awareness, right? And you being able to recognize sort of maybe a downfall or something to work towards, but then you also have next steps in terms of, addressing those. So I think that's huge in itself.
Yeah, so like on the topic of mentors and like important people in our lives, which woman inspires you and why?
That's a really good question. You know what, for me, the biggest woman who has inspired me throughout my life is my mother. And I'm sure she doesn't realize it to this day, or she might sort of said, yeah, 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 I'm sure I am, but she really is. Ever since I was a child, she would always do everything that she can. She worked, extra shifts, extra jobs to make sure that I was taken care of. She would stay up, countless hours to make sure I was driven from one activity to the next, gave me opportunities that I think most children did not. She would take me around the world. She would really include me in part of her life that, I think I will never be able to live up to if I do have kids on my own one day. But she has really provided me with the opportunities that I would not be where I am today if it wasn't for her. It's, she really drove to see me for who I am. She took me to every country possible, growing up to try and get me to see the world. And she spent countless hours with myself, really dedicating her life to making sure that, I had the opportunities that she never had growing up. So I am, absolutely indebted and so, so grateful for everything that she has done because I would not be here today if it wasn't for her. So I think I would strongly say my mom.
Yeah, I would say my mom as well. I think moms are truly like our superheroes.
Yeah.
And just the way my mother, she carries herself with so much compassion and has incredible love for everyone around her. And that's the exactly the type of woman I hope to become in my life, someone who's able to lift others up while never backing down from a challenge as well.
Absolutely. And that's great because I was going to ask you the same question in terms of who is yours. And, I guess continuing this and where we are on our journeys today, we've had mentors, we've sort of overcome different obstacles. What's the best career advice that you've ever received?
I think the best career advice I've received was one from my good friend Jeff, where he always tells me, "Don't be afraid to ask for help."
Hmm.
It's the idea of like if you want to go far, go together, and that success
Love that.
yeah, success is built on that support system of people who advocate for you, offer you guidance, and are there to lift you up. So I think before I used to be very like hesitant to ask for help, but now I realize how important it is to have people there to support you and how you really do go so much further because people are there to help you. Because I would not be where I am today if I didn't have that amazing support system who is there to uphold me and remind me of my worth.
Absolutely. That's so, so well said.
And I would ask the same question to you. What has been the best career advice you've received so far?
I think it's really about staying true to my vision and values because it's essential to, really remain authentic and passionate about the work, as this is really something that, will drive you and your goals and inspire others along the way. So I would just really state the part about authenticity. And, I always go back to my core beliefs and my values in terms of, what it is that I want to achieve, but how can I do it in a way that, I'm not breaking something that I'm not feeling, uncomfortable with in terms of doing. So for me, it's just really, what are my roots? What do I feel comfortable with? And how do I get there in a way that's just authentic?
That's a great answer. Honestly, like authenticity is such a powerful thing.
Yeah,
Um, and that's really where you're able to build connection. I think I always like root myself in authenticity wherever I go. I think again, no one in the world is like you, and that's also like your superpower. So
for sure. Yeah. And we each have one that's very, very unique to ourselves.
right, exactly. So also on the topic, it is Women's History Month, and
Yes.
you're an incredible and inspiring woman as well. So I wanted to ask, what do you think is the importance of recognizing women and celebrating women's achievements, and how also does International Women's Day play into that conversation?
I think that's a great question. And, with that, I think there's a lot of, in terms of believing in yourself, in terms of embracing challenges, empowering women to have this, strong support network because, confidence is really key. And many women, and I guess both men as well, but a lot of women lack the confidence, right? And I always try and tell individuals that they need to trust in their abilities and the unique perspectives that they bring to the table because self-doubt can be a significant barrier, but believing in oneself is really an empowering tool that individuals can take on, to challenge and seize any sort of opportunity, right? It's important to remember that, you are capable and deserving of success, whereas we try to sort of hold ourselves back. Um, but I think, embracing challenges is another major part that I tell individuals to not really shy away from, especially with difficult situations or obstacles, right? In terms of embracing them as opportunities for growth and learning, because each challenge that we overcome will make us stronger and more resilient. So it's, really through these experiences that we develop the skills and confidence needed to lead effective lives, especially as women, whether it's in the business world, whether it's within sports or otherwise. But it's, I think, a very powerful tool, and we need to continue to remind ourselves how strong we are. And recognizing and celebrating women's achievements is so crucial for promoting gender equality and inspiring future generations because this International Women's Day, it really provides that platform to highlight the contributions of women across various fields and encourages, ongoing efforts towards achieving gender parity because the statistics are still, shocking at some times, right? In terms of knowing how many women are still not in parliamentary positions, different areas around the world still value women as, less than dirt for a lack of a better term. So I think it's continuing to have those conversations, empowering those women that have, achieved amazing milestones, but also those that maybe not haven't necessarily, but just empowering them as humans at the end of the day.
I do completely agree. So I think also like recognizing women's achievement, it also provides that visibility where when we highlight the success of women, we're not just acknowledging their work, but we're paving the way to show other people what is possible. I think it's like so powerful when you see a woman up there in a place that you've been told like that is not possible to do. So I think it's really a
100%.
great way to show that anything is possible.
100%. And is there any advice that you would give, I guess, for others aspiring to similar roles within, female or women leadership?
Yeah, so I'd say like a big issue I experience like as a woman in these leadership positions is that sometimes people do not think I am credible or like my opinions aren't as valid. And I'd say like how to respond to that is just don't be afraid to speak up and take up that space. So
Yeah.
in those situations, I think I have to realize that my voice is just as important as anybody else's. So it's so important to trust in your abilities and don't let anyone else define your potential. So I'd say for any woman in leadership, just trust in your abilities and know that you are meant to be there and that you are valid.
Yeah, I think that's incredible and very strong to say in itself for sure.
And how do you think we can create more opportunities for women in business?
I think creating more opportunities for women in business really involves fostering inclusive workplaces, providing different mentorship programs, really advocating for specific policies that, really drive and support work-life balance, right? It's also important to celebrate and promote the achievements of women to inspire others and drive that change, right? We sometimes still have those association between, women, the gender roles and the male, roles within community and society. So it's really about how do we sometimes change that paradigm to shift the focus to having that work-life balance but also really about still understanding how far it is that we've come, but how far we still have to go. Like again, like. And a lot of individuals do not understand that women only hold about 29% of senior management worldwide. And, in Fortune 500 companies, only around 8% of CEOs are women. So I think that still speaks, volumes and in terms of what still needs to happen.
I love the idea of being able to celebrate how far we've come, but also recognizing how much work we're able to do, kind of what you mentioned with the stats. I think it's great to see women in leadership, but absolutely in the future, I hope we can double or even triple that number.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess just as a closing question, I would just ask you if there's anything else that you would sort of share with individuals that, are want to know more about Women's Day and just sort of overall, what's that real purpose behind it? What would you sort of say would be some of your thoughts?
I'd say overall for talking and celebrating women, it's just important for everyone to realize that you are capable. And I think when representation has been absent for most of your life, sometimes have to see it to realize how much you needed it. So it's for all the women. I think it's so important to celebrate their accomplishments and also showcase to everyone that it is absolutely possible, whatever you put your mind into. So I really hope this month people are able to take the time to kind of research and look up different women in their lives, but also recognize areas where we could also improve that as well.
Yeah, I think that's a great suggestion. I love the idea of, being able to look up different women, and it might be in, whether it's in your area, whether it's within your ethnic background, right? Someone within your family tree line, for instance. But I think acknowledging others are that are out there and looking up others that have been successful and whatever it is, potentially as a motivation as to where you're going, what topics of interest are aligned with yourself best. But I think that's a great suggestion. Well, thank you so much for chatting today, Julia. And I mean, it was great to know a little bit more about you and some of the perspectives that you have. And congratulations to yourself again for being nominated for the YWCA award.
Yes, it was so great chatting, and I think it was really great to hear about kind of your story and everything. I think you have such an inspiring story, and you truly have accomplished so much. So you are definitely an inspiration to a lot of us. And also, congratulations on your nomination.
Thank you so much and truly appreciate that.